So Monday, breaking news, Tony Romo is going to make more money than most NFL quarterbacks. I'd retire. If you're Drew Brees, would you retire
Yes.
for $17.5?
Sure.
Yeah, me too. I'm out. Jimmy Traina is the host of the Sports Illustrated Sports Media Podcast. I listened to the episode with Rachel Nichols this morning. New one just dropped.
Was it entertaining?
I enjoyed it. I like Rachel Nichols' work, and I like Jimmy's work, and he's kind enough to join us now right here on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Jimmy, how are you, man?
I'm very well, even better. Now that you tell me you listen to the Rachel Nichols pod, I could appreciate the download.
And rate and review, like you asked us to do, right?
Yes. And there was a Tony Romo emergency podcast earlier this week, so hopefully you got to check that out, too.
I did. Andrew Marchand, who broke the news, was the guest. It was about 28 minutes long, so you guys can listen to that tonight right when we're done the show. Now, I know the answer to the question because I listened to the pod, but I want you to explain to the listeners.
Yep.
Tony Romo got 17+ to go back to CBS. Do you think they were bidding against themselves?
No, I mean, they were bidding against ESPN, and they were also, I don't want to use the phrase bidding against themselves, but they didn't want to go through the process of trying to find a new lead NFL analyst for their top team while they are about to open up negotiations with the NFL about a new contract. So, you know, the other thing in this that I mentioned, when you really think about it, you know, there's not a ton of lead NFL analysts out there. So I think they were bidding against themselves from that perspective, but they were also definitely bidding against ESPN.
And we'll get to the impact of the broadcaster later on because 17.5 would suggest I'm watching the game because you're calling the game, right? I mean, that's essentially what that is saying. But 17.5, has he reset the market for everyone, or is that just for Tony Romo?
I think that's just for Tony Romo. I think you will see the Troy Aikmans and the Chris Collinsworth possibly get more money when it's contract time, but I don't think they're going to come close to Tony Romo money.
I wish I could come close to Tony Romo money.
Yeah.
So let me get your thoughts on that then. The ratings of a game are impacted by Tony Romo, Jim Nantz. How?
Not at all.
So why?
In my opinion.
Right. So why seven? That's the crazy part. Why is a broadcaster worth $17.5 million if they don't impact the ratings?
A few reasons. One, the NFL wants their top teams on each network to have very respectable booths. ESPN's run into this problem because their booth has had issues. The NFL, you know, might not help them get better games on a Monday night because of that. The contract coming up at ESPN, ABC, Disney wants a Super Bowl. They're not going to give them a Super Bowl if they don't love the booth. So CBS wraps up Romo for 10 years. They don't have to worry about dealing with the NFL from that standpoint. Advertisers love a Tony Romo in the booth because he's so popular. The fans love Tony Romo. Very rare thing in broadcasting these days where a broadcaster is universally loved. And like I said, the benefits they get from being able to say we have the most popular, we have the best analysts, go beyond ratings. There's a lot of optics there, a lot of things with the league and advertisers. And they can trot Tony out, you know, for when they have to have upfronts or stuff like that. So it's a very layered kind of thing.
So at the end of the day, Jimmy, it's public relations more than it's ratings because, as you mentioned, you don't think it helps the ratings, but it helps the credibility of the station, and it looks better. You don't get Booger McFarland getting slammed on social media for 1,000 times a night.
Right. So that is a huge part of it, but there is also the factor that he is the best analyst in the game. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not just a PR thing. If they want to say, you know, we have the most popular analyst, the best analyst, No one's going to sort of call them on that. Tony's work is exemplary. So that helps as well as the PR.
Okay. As far as the trade, though, that's being reported, is that then if it wasn't the network competing against itself, ESPN?
Sounds like another emergency.
Yeah, is this
pod
like
here,
a contingency plan, maybe? Do you see that as ESPN's contingency plan? If we weren't able to land Tony Romo, what we're going to try to do is trade for I almost said Howie Roseman, but this is almost Howie Roseman like thinking we'll just trade for Al Michaels.
Right. Did you have a question or just?
I'm asking if you felt like that was their contingency plan to not getting Tony Romo, or if maybe they had this as an either or anyway.
I think they probably have a few plans. I think maybe Drew Brees maybe was on a list before he announced he was going back to the NFL. Peyton Manning has been a thing they've chased for a while to know about. I thought Romo obviously was going to be their top target. So I don't think they have one contingency plan. They probably have a few. Mm-hmm. And they better have a few because they've tried to go after Peyton Manning for 2 or 3 years here, and he says no every time. So I'm not sure. Maybe they think, okay, Peyton sees the Romo me, and he figures, let me get my cut of that. But he hasn't really shown the overwhelming desire to be an NFL analyst.
Jimmy Traina is with us, Sports Illustrated Sports Media Podcast. Do you find it odd that ESPN doesn't have any in-house talent that is like, these are the two guys, they got to go with them?
I don't know if that's true. I think they have some in-house talent. Listen, ESPN wants to believe that Monday Night Football is special. It's not. It's the fourth best game of the week if they're lucky. Sunday 4:25 is the best game of the week. You get Sunday night on NBC. You have Thursday night Fox. So best case scenario for ESPN, they get the fourth best game every week. They want to reinvent the wheel. They want to give you a different broadcast that you get on Sundays. That's not what NFL fans want. They want you to think Monday Night Football is still Howard Cosell, Don Meredith, and this special event. It's not. So maybe they have the apprehension to go with, maybe Steve Levy or Dan Orlovsky. Those guys would be hits with the fans. They really would.
Why do you think a college guy, a guy like Levy, when you're so good at one, but you're not, like Levy and Herb Street are great, but if you put them on an NFL game, it would have a different feel. Why do Fowler and Herb Street? Excuse me.
I think that's true for some guys. I don't think it's true for all. I think Levy would be an excellent NFL. He did the second game of the doubleheader last year on opening Monday night when ESPN has those 2 Monday night games.
Yeah,
and he was great. I think they have some options in house. Probably, though, not that flashy name unless they want to, do something really radical and get Chris Fowler off of college and put him on the NFL. But they have enough guys where they can put together a very competent broadcast. But it might not be the name splash that an Al Michaels would give them.
I've always thought Adam Amin would be a pretty good candidate for that. I mean, I think he has some personality. He does a lot of different sports. He's a very good broadcaster, and he's young. I thought maybe in that ESPN would have thought about that a little.
Yeah. Again, they're looking for a bigger name for Monday Night Football.
Very much so.
Well, and didn't Amin do something with Pat McAfee recently? I mean, McAfee seems like he's everywhere
now. They all got dressed up at some college football game, right, where they were all wearing outfits or something over Halloween.
Yeah, they did the Thursday night game, right?
That's what it was.
The Thursday night game, but McAfee seems like he's a. You mentioned Orlovsky. McAfee seems like everyone's trying to get their hands on him too.
I don't think that's going to happen on Monday Night Football.
Right.
I don't think the NFL would be thrilled with that.
Hey, how much of the NFL getting into that SEC stuff, is that going to affect things down the road monetarily to try to get something done, or is that not really a blip on the radar for them?
Probably not a blip on the radar. I think that'll be a separate deal. They've already spent the money for that. They have a incredibly, unlike the NFL, where they're struggling to find a booth, they have an incredibly deep roster of very good college football announcers. So I think that's a separate deal from this. The NFL is its own animal.
Did that allow CBS?
The contract come up.
Did that allow CBS to pull more money out for Romo?
Probably.
That they don't have to pay the SEC money anymore?
But here's the thing. They weren't paying SEC money. They were getting the best deal in sports. You look at what CBS was paying compared to what ESPN is paying, and the deal went up, 1,000% or something like that. So ESPN was getting a really good deal on that package.
All right. Unbelievable money. And by the way, the thing that you brought up, Mosher, Al Michaels would have to be traded for a second time, right? No, they traded him away. They'd have to trade back for him.
Yep.
They got the bunny, right? What was it?
No, Oliver what was it called? The
Oliver
mouse?
the rabbit.
Oliver whatever it was.
Yeah, some cartoon.
He didn't work out.
Oswald,
that's right. He was a bust.
The rabbit, yeah. All right, Jimmy Traina, check out the SI Sports Media podcast. You can check that out each and every week. This week it's Rachel Nichols talking about her work on The Jump. Andrew Marchand from Monday has the emergency stuff. They go a lot deeper into Tony Romo. And Jimmy Traina on Twitter. Jimmy, it was a pleasure having you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, Jimmy Traina here on the Sports Bash live on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline.